is item number 1. Oh, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
All right, we have a move and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Now we're up to the regular agenda items. Item number 2, is there any staff discussion?
Yeah, I'll make this very quick. In your packet, you'll find a status of the growth management program checklists that have been submitted up to date. We've received 5 as of this month, and we have 15 left to go in 6 months. It's a short time to process a lot of checklists, so we just want to make sure that folks are aware, and we're encouraging to submit earlier rather than later so they don't all pile up in June. And I will note that City of Antioch has submitted a draft for our review, so they are in process in case anyone from Antioch is listening. But that completes my item.
Thank you, and that does require action. So,
Approval. Second.
all right.
A stern letter to those late people that haven't got it in by the end of the year.
There you are. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Item number 3. Brad, would you like to make it a?
I will try to
official?
make it, and also try to make it short. Good evening, everyone. This is the latest report on the status of projects that are funded through the Measure J Transportation for Livable Communities and Pedestrian, Bicycle, and Trail Facilities programs. This report covers all 83 projects that have been funded or that have been programmed through the program. Right now, we've programmed it's 59 million, almost 60 million in Measure J funds to those 83 projects. And so far, we've appropriated about 32 million of that program, so a little bit over half, 54%. Sponsors have invoiced for about 63% of the funds that we've appropriated to them, which is a drop from the last report. And there's a reason for that. If you look at the chart on page 312, you'll see the sort of over time since the program started, you can see that there are these big spikes in when we've appropriated funding. So you see there's a lot of appropriation that the authority has made over the last year, and a lot of those projects are just beginning to incur costs and haven't yet started invoicing that. That's the reason for that big drop. The sponsors have completed about 37 of the 83 projects, or about 43% of the total, and that's an increase of about 3 over the last 6 months or so. We've added a couple of, one more thing. There are projects that are still delayed, and there's a few more that have been delayed pretty substantially, and there are a lot of new reasons why that is. Some projects need to get permits for bridges that they didn't think they needed. There have been projects, with plans, there are a lot of delays coming up with what is the appropriate final plan. So there are a lot of delays in that final review process. We've added a couple of tables at the end for each jurisdiction on how much money has been programmed and how much has been appropriated and how much has been invoiced. We've also, in response to your comments earlier, in the tables at the end of the report for each of the individual projects, we've added a column for the percent that the project is completed. So obviously for those projects that haven't begun, that percent is 0, but you can see a lot of other projects are pretty close to being completed. So that's the end of my report, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? I am seeing no questions. We would need an action.
Approval. Second.
Okay, we have approval and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on to item number 4, and these look for 4.1 and 4.2 look like they're kind of co-related. So, Martin, would you please come and kind of guide us through them, please?
Good evening, Madam Chair. I'm sitting in the back. I'm not fighting a cold. I have a cold. So these 2 items are regarding initiation of a feasibility study to study bicycle and pedestrian improvements on the Monument Boulevard in the vicinity of Contra Costa Boulevard and I-680 and Buskirk. And you're probably very familiar with that single point interchange, and it's very automobile oriented, and it's difficult to traverse that interchange if you're going along Monument Boulevard and trying to cross all those entry and exit ramps to I-680. And of course, there's no crossing of Monument Boulevard in that location. So TransPAC, our Regional Transportation Planning Committee, has amassed some funding to do a study for this. They have approximately $150,000 in their budget to do this study, and would like to go through a competitive RFP process and retain a consultant. The authority is very well equipped to go through that process and dot all the I's and cross all the T's to do the retention. So I've been working with TransPAC TAC and working with Matt Todd, who's here tonight, and we come up with an organization that TransPAC has approved, and that is that the TransPAC and TransPAC TAC will provide the technical and policy direction for this study. CCTA will act as contract administrator and fiscal agent. We will procure the consultant. We will enter into a contract with the consultant. And then as the consultant does the work, they will report to TransPAC TAC and TransPAC. And as we are invoiced and we pay the consultant, we will then invoice TransPAC and they will pay us back. So there's no cost, except for the staff time, there's no cost to the authority of this study. TransPAC is footing the bill. And you're approving tonight both 4.1, which is release of the RFP 1815. Also 4.2 is the cooperative agreement, which lays out the terms and conditions for this arrangement. And so we're asking for your approval of both 4.1 and 4.2 tonight.
Thank you.
Vote now.
Legally, I think we have to do them separately. Is there any discussion on either item or questions?
No, I'd move to approve the release of the RFP 1815.
Okay, that's a second by Karen. Mitchell? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? None. All right, and we have 4.2.
Move approval of 4.2.
Aye. Okay, Karen gets a second.
Okay, you can move.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Hey.
Alrighty. Well, I could argue, but I'm chair.
No, you're chair.
I'm chair, so I defer to you. Therefore, let's make a vote. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed, there are none, and so those items have carried. Are there any other items of business?
Yes.
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 No, she seconded.
No, she
She
moved
moved
it.
it.
Oh, you moved it. And
And I
Kevin,
seconded
He
it.
seconded.
okay, sorry.
My gracious colleagues allowed me to move.
It's kind of hard to follow.
How did you get through 3 items in 5 minutes?
You trained us. We were trained by the best.
Yes, I learned
I told them the traffic
well
would be
from
bad,
your leadership. All right, so we're up to other business. Is there any other business that we need to discuss? I'm seeing nobody, so it looks like we are going to adjourn this meeting until
The next one.
the next one, which may be January 2nd, or that may be canceled, and we will meet again on February 6th, 2019, at the same time,
Are
6
you going to
p.m.
be able to get let's check it. Well, you're not going to be able to get the staff report, are you, out? With January 1st is a holiday, and it's, the Tuesday and Monday, you're not even going to, is anybody going to be here? Or?
Between Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, come on.
Commissioner Hudson, I can explain. We have a workflow for the committee, and we've looked at that workflow, and there are no urgent items for the January 2nd meeting at this time. If anything comes up, we certainly can prepare a packet. The holidays will not impose upon us. We'll start early, but at this point, all of the items can be brought directly to the authority in January, and we would then move to the February meeting. We do have substantive items for the February Planning Committee meeting.
Okay, I was just thinking if you knew it right now that it was going to be the second Wednesday, we'd put it down as the second Wednesday, but you don't know.
It's true, we don't. I believe that it is more likely than not it would be canceled. I would propose that you hold it on your calendar with the understanding that it will likely be canceled.
But then we may meet on the 9th instead.
What if it rains?
I don't know.
wouldn't meet
I
at all.
don't-
Commissioners,
I don't think we're talking about, we're going to go past our time.
yeah, we've looked at the upcoming workload, and there doesn't appear to be anything that we can't bring directly to the board. That's why we give you,
Gotcha.
we don't normally give you a heads up like this, but leaning toward there's not going to be a meeting. We're not going to move the meeting because then it creates problems for Wilma and others. So either we have the meeting on 2nd, which is very
I move that we
unlikely,
cancel.
and we'll move
Well,
to
no, I'm
February.
sorry, you're suggesting we leave it open until.
Yeah, just in case, who knows what emergencies will happen
That's
in
fine with
between
me.
then and now, but put it with a question mark on your calendar. All right? All right. That's, I think, an official adjournment, and good night.
The way I stretched that out to get that full 10 minutes.